Take note how the dogs start barking and continue barking to alert their owners that someone has entered their property. It's also noteworthy, in my opinion, that the dogs do not attack the stranger, they just continue to alert their owner.
You know, I have much more respect for what you're telling me by standing here.
Yeah.
And I got my little camera here, but I'm looking at this terrain, and I'm going, holy cow! She could have even. There's a million possibilities here.
Yeah, there's
down there, and there's the road down there.
Yeah, that's the road. And that's my mom's house.
Okay.
Like literally, it's.
And this right here.
Usually you can see the road because they have went through here and mowed and took down a bunch of stuff away from the power lines.
Okay.
But usually it's full up. You can't even see the road.
That day, though, how was it? Was it full up, or was it like this?
That day and a few days prior to that, they were working on this.
Okay.
So I've even come to a conclusion maybe one of them people have snatched it.
Oh, interesting.
Because they were all the way up here on
I see those, the path down there. I see the tracks down there.
Yep.
You over there.
And they were all the way up here to my light pole.
Okay. And you told TBI all this, right?
I told TBI this, yes.
Okay. And yeah, I can see the cars going by. That is not far from your property.
Mm-mm.
Is there a holler down there? I mean, is there a river of some sort?
The creek runs all the way around the property.
And how deep is the creek? Okay, just so it's like an inch, inch or two. Okay.
You'd be lucky to get wet enough to do anything.
Okay. All right, so let's pick it up from where, and I'm going to just use this little one. Is that okay?
Fine.
Okay, so from when you got home, now she's leaning.
My mom's truck parks here.
Okay, your mom's truck's right here.
Yes.
Okay, so she's leaning against the milk. Is she sleeping?
She was sleeping, yes.
Okay. From exhaustion from that day?
Yes, she was. Where I woke her up early, and she usually sleeps until 9, 10, even 12 o'clock if I let her.
Okay. How did the milk bottles get rearranged? Hunter said he had them on the floor, and then he put them next to him.
They weren't.
Is that true?
No.
Okay, so walk me through that.
When we dropped them off, they were actually still on his lap.
Okay.
And he put them on the other side of Summer.
Okay. So he reached over?
Yeah, he set them over there by that. What's a black tote she had in there?
Okay. Where's that tote at?
I think actually my mom's got it still in her truck. It's got a bunch of crafts and stuff in it.
Okay, got it. And now from when you pulled up, did she just fall asleep next to that?
She fell asleep, I'd say maybe 5 minutes on the road.
Okay, got it. And then, so walk me through, you get home, you take the groceries inside. Is Don home, by the way?
No, he's not.
Okay.
Actually, I parked the truck, and I opened both doors. It's really hard because this lawnmower of his. But I opened the doors up, and I shook her. I said, "Wake up, we're at home." She jumped right up.
Okay.
Like nothing. I unbuckled her, and I said, "Come on." I said, "Mom, I'll be right back." Well, went in there, and got the boys, and they were sitting at the table. And I said, "Come on, let's get the groceries out." And we brought them all in the house, went through them all, did all that.
And this is that's her swing.
That's her swing right there.
Come show me her swing. Why is this, and who's this?
That is Smoking Boots. That's my boys' cat.
And how many dogs do you have here on the property? About?
Honestly, I don't know because people just keep dropping them off.
Hi. I know.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry. So this is her swing.
That's her swing.
This is her playground.
Yep.
And she loved this area. Boy, you know, I'm looking at this, and this terrain, Candus, just strikes me as being so dense and just... Is that what they say, the dog trail? Where's this dog trail thing? That
I'm not sure, honestly.
there's so many of them?
The dogs go in every different
Yeah,
way.
I saw the dogs came out of the woods as we were pulling up.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do that all the time.
Okay.
That trail right there, my boys, they ride those dirt bikes that are leaning against the truck over there.
Okay.
You can see there's one of them.
Okay.
And they
Those
ride
are
on-
like 50 cc's, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one ain't. I think it's only like 25, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, they go down that trail with their dirt bikes and then come back up on the road, up on the driveway and go around and stuff.
What was it about this swing that is just so important for her?
She liked it. She just liked to swing. All the kids did.
Now,
Is it just me, or is Candus annoyed by this question?
I don't want to talk about the boys right now because I know that's, you know, a tough another part of your heart, okay? And that's none of my business.
Right.
I'm not here for any,
It's not
you know what I mean?
for
I'm not here to
summer.
judge anybody, right?
Right.
I'm here to talk about Summer
Yep.
and help you find Summer, okay? And help anybody help
Right.
find her, okay? That messaging.
Straight away after she is asked about Summer's swing, Candus goes and grabs the kitty to comfort herself, but it doesn't seem to soothe her because she also does this gesture where she takes her hat off and nervously scratches her head.
Okay, so you go into the house.
Go in the house and...
Can I follow you in, or do you comfortable with that? Huh?
I don't know what about you. It's still the cat food.
And is this they're going to attack me?
No.
Oh, I was just I'm teasing you. The dog's going to attack me. So this is the
Get out.
the scaffolding you're talking about.
Yeah, that's my... That's
Okay, so she comes up, jumps up, and goes right in.
Yep.
Okay, how many cats? You know what? You should have like a zoo license. You know, I'm seeing all kinds of critters, which is good. Okay, where's Summer's bed?
Oh, it's in the basement.
Got it. Okay. So what happens when she comes in? The boys are playing where?
No, the boys are actually sitting here,
Okay.
and they're actually sitting right here at the table watching TV.
Okay, so they're at the table
Yeah, I come
watching
in and get
TV.
'em.
Okay.
They were all locked in. Nobody could get in. Nobody could get out. Kind
Okay.
of thing.
Nobody can get in and nobody could get out kind of thing?
Now who's this on up here?
That's my little sister that's missing.
Oh, that's Rose.
That's Rosie.
Oh, wow. Wow. And who's the guy?
That's her ex-husband.
Wow. Do you think he had anything to do with that?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to go
I
there.
can't say.
How's
yes
your
or
mom
no.
deal with that?
It's difficult.
Yeah, I know. You know I know, right? So, okay, watching TV, where's Summer?
Summer, she was with me.
Okay, so walk me through that.
All right. Well, we walked up in here and we got Josie, Wyatt, and Waylon, the boys.
Right,
Well,
you put the groceries down, right?
Yeah. Well, we went back out and then we brought the groceries in and put them down.
I thought you just said that the boys came out and helped you with the groceries, Candus.
And then Mom, she went took her stuff to her house, put her stuff away.
Okay,
And then, of course, me and Summer went back over, put our stuff away.
But you said you only got milk and cheese.
you went back in.
Yeah, me and Summer went back in the house. And then we were just doing normal stuff
Okay,
around the house like we normally do. And I come out, Mom was sitting there at the time I come out and I'm standing here. I
okay.
was like, what are you doing? What are you staring at? She's like, these plants, I gotta get them transplanted. I was like, well, Summer will help us, so I went back in. By that time, she was sitting on the floor playing with her toys.
Right here?
No, in the kitchen where we were just at.
Okay,
She was actually sitting on the floor playing with her toys at that time. I said, Summer, you want to help plant flowers? And she jumped up, left her toys a mess, of course. That's cool.
yeah,
Then we
well,
walked
that's
over
what kids
here.
do. It's their job,
What?
okay?
We
Get-
walked over here and We transplanted these cactuses from the little pots that they were in. And transplanted these ones here into this bigger pot and that one into that bigger pot. And then she took the rocks that we've gotten from different gem mines when we went up to Gatlinburg and stuff.
Okay.
And she's the one that spreaded all the rocks around in here. And then she put her puppies in here. She wanted Chase in there, you know.
Okay.
That was cool.
Where are those puppies now?
What do you mean?
Oh, the little puppies, her real ones.
Yeah, these little.
Oh, yeah, those little guys. Oh, that's Paw Patrol.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the police one.
Yep, that's Chase. He's always on the case.
Okay. Okay.
We
Oh, I see another one over here.
She put him in there. Yeah, you're on the cactus.
Okay. Don't take those out, okay?
No, I leave them right there.
I know.
And then we went in my mom's where we can't get in there.
Yeah, that's fine. Went in there.
We went in there and got some candy and stuff she gets from grandma.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'm going to go back over to the house. She wanted to go back, so I figured I'd go back, you know.
Okay.
And I brought her, I literally walked over to here. Like literally walked right to here where I could see the boys and on the kitchen table.
Got them.
And I watched her walk in there. And afterwards, when she was already in there, I walked over and I said, Wyatt. And he looked at me and I said, watch Sissy, I'll be right back. And that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, well, Mom, I got to go back over with the kids. And that's when I come back up into the house.
Okay.
With the boys.
Okay. You walked into the house.
I walked into here. Get up. I walked in here and them three were sitting right here in row with their eyes glued to the TV, like always. And I said, boys, where's your sister at? Well, she just went downstairs, Mom, to play. So I went over here like this, because this is where the stairs are.
Okay.
It's actually down under there.
Oh, down into her bedroom.
Our bedroom, and then hers is on the other side.
Oh, okay, in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement.
Well, this makes sense now, see?
And then I yelled and I said, Summer, Summer. And she didn't, I listened for a minute, I didn't hear nothing. So I went like this, because this is how I always get down here.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you want to come down here or not.
Do I got to be tiny to get in there?
No, you should.
Can we come in from the other side?
Well, we can, but it'd make more sense if you went this way.
Okay, I'll follow you. Oh, man. Good grief,
No, I know if my 6-foot husband can fit down here, you can.
Huh?
My husband's 6 foot, I know if he can fit, you can.
This... Oh, my gosh. Way to go.
This is my husband's room.
Okay.
Pay close attention to what's on the TV in a child's room right next to the playroom. It's quite disgusting. There is also a door that leads directly outside. It's another door that Summer possibly could have left out of. Nothing but smut on the television set. Grody.
And over here, well, it's a mess again.
That's all right.
But this is where Summer and little Waylon was. Because Waylon's only 9.
Okay.
And they stayed down here. And these are all her toys, all her Paw Patrols, all
her movies. She's got a movie about the Savior.
The boys I brought back down here after she went missing because I didn't want them upstairs by themselves anymore.
Okay. And this is all her toys.
All her toys. All these toys that are down here are dang near all hers, except for like the trucks and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the game system. That's the boys'.
Okay.
But them are all her toys.
And she's really into Paw Patrol. I see that.
Yeah, I've been collecting from day one. And these are all her little ponies that I've bought. And then these are them girls that she likes. Them new fashion, I don't know what they are, little princesses or whatever. She's like all kinds. Here's one of them bracelets.
Oh, that's just one of them what do they call these? Oh, this is little pony bracelets.
Yeah, I don't know what they were really called. But she liked them, and so I just, every time I go to the garage sale, I'd buy her what she wanted.
Okay.
You know, whenever I got a little bit of money, I spend it on the kids.
Yeah, this is her, I understand her now.
Yeah.
Even better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is really important.
But yeah, I come down and I searched, I looked up underneath the beds under there. Well, you can't really get on, I can't get under there.
Yeah.
But I looked under there, looked under every blanket I could possibly look under.
Yep.
And then I come over here, and I looked on one side, I didn't see her nowhere. And I don't recall if this was locked or not. I don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know, it's hard on me. But I know I did come out here and I said, Summer. Because sometimes she'll sit right here and just sit here and play just for, you know. And usually when she comes out and she goes directly that way up to the swing.
Oh, okay, so this is like her.
Yeah, she
come running out. Oh yeah, you can see the path here.
Right to the swing.
Right, you can see where she could have run right up to
and
here.
this is all the further she would go. She wouldn't leave.
Okay.
She wouldn't go out nowhere else.
Okay. I want to go around this side. What is this blue thing here?
Oh, that was we were putting trash in it.
Okay.
And we did have a trash man at the time, but he stopped running.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna lock this.
Okay, I'm gonna film around this side. Now walk me through, what's this little
oh, that right there?
little cave thing there?
That's not really a cave. Actually, we built this addition, me and Donnie and the kids.
Oh, okay.
And we left this part open because the dog, at the time we did have little puppies. These dogs were little puppies. And we let them go under there. They would run in and out of the bricks over there. There's actually 7 pups up under there now.
Okay.
And it's always been open like that. Well, you can see after you've been here, you can see how mellow the dogs are.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
That's what they do. They're lazy.
They're kind of a Jack Russell. They got a little Jack Russell in it.
Russell, yeah. Actually, the gentleman that lives over there in the other trailer across the creek actually has the mama to that dog there.
In my humble opinion, the property belonging to Candus and Don Wells is in shambles. It is very unkempt. There is debris and trash all over the place. The inside of the home was completely hoarded out, and the children slept in very poor conditions, in my opinion. The eldest boys slept in bunk beds in the living room, and Summer and her older brother, who was 9, slept near their parents in the basement.
What's this little shed over here?
Oh, that one there?
Yeah.
That's where Donnie keeps all his tools.
Got it. Hey, can I go look? No?
You can go look, but it's a mess.
No? Okay, no, it's up to... Okay, that's fine.
Nothing in there.
Yeah, no worries. I don't want to get in...
I don't want you to get hurt.
Well, and you know what, I don't want other people to...
I don't let my kids in there either.
Yeah, no problem.
It's not a place for...
I totally respect that. That's not an issue, but I think this is interesting because this is, you can clearly see where she runs on this path down here.
It's not the prettiest house in the world, but...
Huh?
I said it's not the most beautiful house in the world.
You know what? It's a house.
It's a home.
You know what? You know, God forbid, you know, anybody judge you for having a bad house. You know, I mean, it is what it is. At least you're putting food on the table.
Oh, have you seen the food?
Trying to do your best. I saw.
And then Allie says that she bought the food.
And then this is over here. This is where you do your fire for the kids.
Fire that heats the...
Is that an old generator?
Yeah.
Does it work? No, did it at some point?
It worked like over 14, 15 years ago, way before I was here.
Old school bus, you can turn that into a camper?
That was my mom's plan. I literally actually rode in that bus when I was a little kid.
Whenever I see a school bus, I always ask that question.
I did.
Okay, tell me about it.
Me and my mom and Summer and the 2 boys, not Josie, he went north, but Wyatt and Waylon rode up to north to get that from my mom's friend's house. And I drove her truck and she drove the school bus back.
That's awesome. This is rough terrain. Let's go look at the, tell me about this area over here.
This is just pretty much scrap metal, really.
And do you trade the scrap metal in for cash?
No.
Sometimes, no?
No, it just sits there.
This is Mom's trailer right here?
This is my mom's camper.
Okay. Okay. And these are the flowers.
Yeah.
with her little buddies. I'm gonna get a good picture of that. Her Paw Patrol. This is so sweet. These are Summer's little toys there. There's one there. Then there's this guy right here. Then this is Casey on the case.
It's Chase.
Okay. I love it.
Got Chase on the case and you got Rubble on the double.
And you have, obviously, somebody made you a cool shirt. I want to show everybody that shirt again. That Mom on Patrol for Summer. Wow. And this is that road down behind the property. Back there you can see. So, Miss Candus, while I'm out here, is there anything that you feel is important that you'd want to tell the world that I haven't asked you, that you want to let them know?
Not really, just hope that everybody that's looking for her, that we can find her and bring her home safely.
Okay.
She was very precious to me.
Okay. And the authorities are working hard on this?
Yes, from what I understand, yes.
Okay. And, you know, we're going to let them do their job.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's right.
And you're cooperating, obviously.
Yep,
okay.
100%.
Okay. And now there is a rumor about these polygraph tests. Clear that up.
All right, the first one that I took, and I didn't really take it because they kind of threw me in the back of the squad car, so I was really upset and, you know, just I was crying my eyes out.
Okay.
And so when I got up there to the courthouse, we tried to do it, but I couldn't do it.
Okay.
So we waited a few days, and then I went back and I did it, and I passed it.
Okay.
So that was that.
Okay. And then what about the rumors of this relationship situation with Hunter?
Are you crazy? I got a husband and 4 kids
okay.
that I love to death.
Okay. Okay.
To me, Hunter was another one of my kids.
Okay.
That's how I felt about any kid.
Okay. Now, when I was on the phone with you yesterday briefly, yes, you said he got the story out of order.
Yeah.
Okay. But it sounded like he was kind of telling the truth there.
He was kind of telling the truth, but the way he was telling where we went and how we did it was all twisted up now.
What's different that you want to clear up?
Well, because when we left from the emergency room, we went straight to the smoke shop, and that's when I got the cigarettes and stuff like that there. And then we stopped at the hippie house, and I got those cheap vapes because they're cheap there. And then we went and put my mom's prescription in, and then we went to Warriors, and then we come back to Walgreens, got mom's prescription, went to Sonic, then to Priceless, then to his house.
Okay.
And that's exactly
the order. Okay. So he had it different from what you remember.
Right.
Okay. So
well, not what I remember. It's how it was.
Okay, because you're driving.
It's the truth.
Yeah, you're driving.
I was driving. I knew where I was going.
Okay. And what about? He said that he asked you for the tea, and that you gave him a tea.
He didn't ask me for nothing.
Okay, I'm just.
He asked me for a Mountain Dew.
Okay.
I got him a Mountain Dew.
Okay, where did the Orange Crush come from on the seat with Summer?
That was my mom's. She was drinking that and then didn't want no more.
Okay. And what about the candy on the seat?
Oh, that candy's been in there.
Okay. And what about the pillow?
The pillow? What pillow?
Oh, she's sitting on a pillow.
Oh, Mom gets mad because if the kids get in their wet bathing suit and stuff, so I just put the pillow underneath her so Mom wasn't complaining.
Got it. Okay. Good. So there is a time frame here between this trailer and that house within, you said 2 to 10 minutes maybe?
No, 2 to 5.
2 to 5. And then she goes in and now she's gone.
Oh.
What do you think happened? Where would a suspect have been, in your opinion, in this?
My opinion?
Yeah, in this area.
They could have been sitting anywhere. They could have been sitting over here, just off the little edge right here.
A suspect, in my opinion, is Candus having the barrel rolled over so that no one can see the for sale sign on it.
Or where the bus is, that little bushy area right there, they could have been sitting
Right
there.
out here?
Yeah, and
Okay, come show me.
What's up?
That's all right.
And I just recently found out that there was like, I guess he's a child molester
Okay.
that lived like literally 8 minutes from my house, and he can literally walk from his house into my house within 8 minutes.
Okay.
And like that bushy area right there, you can't really tell if anybody's crouched down there or anything.
What do the authorities think?
I don't know what they think. I really don't.
Okay. Yeah. I love this swing. This is summer. Okay, there you have it. It was when I went up there, she was very gracious. We talked for a little bit, obviously. Initially, she picked up right where she left off from the water hole without hesitation. And when we were driving up the driveway there, if you've when you get up up to her street and you turn up her driveway, just before we did that, she pulled over, got out of the car, walked over to the gate. I observed quickly that the gate was a large chain. She unlocked the chain and then threw it into the woods, but almost immediately 5 or 6 dogs came out of the woods right at at the truck that I was that I have. And as she took off up the hill, and when you get up to the top of or as you're going up that hill, there's just ruts and just tons of ruts. And what happens is when it rains, it washes all that gravel down, and so that road, quite frankly, is absolutely atrocious. So as you get up, you have to turn to the right, and then it takes you around by the side of the basement there that would be to your left. And as you come up, and then when I got up to the top of the hill, there were a lot of other dogs up there. I think there was a total of about 13 dogs. And Candus shared with me that there are a lot of people that just let their dogs loose, and I think what's happening is they're starting to potentially congregate right there up on that hill. That said, so a couple of interesting observations, and again, it is not my responsibility, nor should it be, to interrogate Candus. This is a fluid law enforcement investigation. I wanted to give her a safe place to speak and to talk. And, are there some discrepancies? Of course. I think some of those can be explained by, the area that we're in, rural Tennessee. I think, she, corrects herself quickly. Some of that can be related to, her street smarts and, her background, et cetera. But simultaneously, some of the things she was saying, gave me the impression that too, there's definitely more to this story. So then I had to step back, personally, being objective, and not, saying this or that, because I don't know. TBI knows, FBI may know, but, I just don't fly off the handle and say stuff like that, right? We let the facts fall into place, and once they fall into place, then we'll all know. However, some observations, as we got around, and my aha moment for that situation was when I asked if I could, look into the shed. Now, Don was not home. He was supposed to be at work, but I just had a sinking feeling that he potentially could have been around the area. I don't know that for sure, but when I looked over at the shed and I saw that door open, one has to wonder, right? But hopefully I'll get an opportunity to talk to him and ask him, and then we'll know for sure. As you can tell, the house in of itself, is not unusual for, country folk in the middle of, quite frankly, nowhere. Okay. And in this case, obviously Middle Tennessee. And so I was not shocked by any of the stuff inside until I went into the basement. And then I saw, some of the way the kids were basically, sleeping, and the sleeping conditions and everything like that. But, when you don't have a lot of, things and stuff in the world, okay, then of course, it can be a living situation, right? I mean, coming from Southern California, there are, barrios and neighborhoods that, quite frankly, they have nothing. And when you walk into a home, there's, 15, people living in the same house, and they're atrocious, but they're still people. And, it doesn't mean they've done something or anything to that effect. In fact, it could be the quite opposite, because until you know for sure, then you have to follow not only what the evidence is telling you in front of you, but what your instincts are telling you through that experience. And I think this is one of these cases where, are there some, red flags? Absolutely. A lot of them. Okay? I'm not in a position right now on YouTube to throw out what those are. You'll hear as I was walking up the side of the house, I muted out a conversation. And so those are the kind of things that investigators who are fluid on this case, with the pure intent of finding Summer Wells. And that's what we're trying to do. Help Summer by helping her parents.
Wells family lives across the street from a neighboring property. On mirroring mountains, together they can be described as sentinels which sit high over Ben Hill Road. The night Summer went missing, the neighbor swears that she and her 2 children heard a scream shortly before they joined the search for a now missing Summer Wells.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jody Sue Brown was the very day Summer Wells went missing.
There was no TV, no noise at all.
Jody Sue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14, waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candus and Donnie's driveway, something about it struck me wrong.
She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbors. The next sound was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jody Sue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. A scream.
It stopped all 3 of us cold.
Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all 3 were there, listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Animalistic, but not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog, it wasn't an animal.
That vigilance kicking into overdrive. Jody Sue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything.
They went on with their evening. The kids returned to being kids. Jody Sue headed down her driveway around 6 to tend to flowers.
And at this point, I start hearing Candus hollering for Summer. And then my brain immediately went, scream earlier, this, uh-oh.
Jody Sue was the first to hear those calls and the first to join the search for Summer.
I dropped my purse. I tried to yell up at Candus. I was like, I'm looking, and I started looking.
Jody Sue searched one side of a creek, Summer's brothers the opposite side. And you gave statements to the police, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Jody Sue had been interviewed many times by investigators, bringing up the scream often. But the sheriff doesn't believe the scream is related to the disappearance of Summer Wells.
She's been interviewed numerous times by not only my agency, but the TBI and the FBI, and we don't find anything with that complaint or information related to this case.
Jody Sue wishes she could go back to just a short time before Summer disappeared and before the scream she believes was Summer.
I wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it.
Referencing the work of the FBI, TBI, and his own deputies, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson reiterated in an interview the same week as Jody Sue's that investigators have found absolutely no proof that an abduction has taken place in the Beech Creek community.
And if that changes in relationship to what they may know, or somebody may have more information or done, Grandma's not on the property. The trailer was locked after we talked. Confirm those types of things. That distance between the house and the trailer is no less than probably 50 feet. And then when you come in and you go into the house and you turn to the right, and then you go around that little bar area, and she called it a bar area because that's what Don calls it. There's a cutout there. And as you saw, it's a very narrow passageway. It's probably 2.5 feet wide, maybe a little bit wider. I mean, I'm not a small pumpkin by any stretch of the imagination, but I was able to get in there, and it was a set of staircase that went straight down. And as you come in to the left is that basement door, and I immediately observed whether or not a child could reach up. I didn't say anything. A child could reach up and flip that lock, and I watched her open that mechanism. And I'm not convinced that a 5-year-old couldn't have done that, but I'm not convinced she did do it. So we'll just kind of let that take its course. And then to the left there, the parents had their bed out there, and of course you could see that the TV was running. That to me told me there had been somebody there at prior to our arrival. I don't know what that means because I know the children are out of the house because this is 2 days post that incident, and so as a result of that, maybe other people didn't want to communicate. So then, as you saw when you look to the right, that's where the boys stay. That's where Summer's room was, and all of her toys and everything is there. And I got the sense, being across from her within 1.5 feet, that she has just been reeling inside emotionally. And the other piece of me tells me she doesn't have the skill set or the coping mechanism to deal with the weight of all of this. Now, I think all of us can, guess, what that means in different ways. I have my own opinion of that. I'm not going to, lay that out here on YouTube in totality, but I think some of this could be, there's a guilt process going on here. Now, is it because she didn't watch her well enough and this is, a crazy situation? Is it an accident? I was interested in the swing on that, out there by the tree. Could she have accidentally swung into the tree? And then I've had cases where, parents, actually panic. And as a result of that, they do stupid stuff. Could have one of the other family members been, grandma and stuff, was there something that took place there? And maybe there's nothing. And so I'm going to level set again, and I hope you are level setting inside of them. What I mean by that in our chat here today, and keep it classy, because I know right now that she's out at a vigil for her sister or for her daughter. Okay. And so she's signaling all the right things. And as a I don't think we know all the story yet. It's obvious, and I know we can analyze a lot of the information that's been provided. In fact, Coop and I and Dean had a great talk today. And if you don't know, this organization, the Cold Case Foundation, our executive director is Greg Cooper, and he ran the behavior science for the FBI for many quite a long time with John Douglas from Mindhunter. And John used to be our executive director, but he recently stepped down, and he's doing a show on Fox. But Greg and I talked for quite some time today. We analyzed this video, and we came up with some things that at some point we're going to weigh in on. But right now is not the time to do that. So with that, I see somebody's putting in here in Tennessee. We leave the TV on all the time, so there you go. That's a possibility right there, right up front. So this is when you get an opportunity. I know you're going to go back and you're going to watch this, and you guys are going to see things that we're not aren't obvious right up front. I thought was very interesting is Candus has a picture of her sister right there in the kitchen. Now, I don't know if she's living that, but correlate that to the statement she made down at the water's edge.